Fernando Alonso has once again revisited one of the most controversial seasons in modern Formula One history, the year 2007. A season when Alonso joined McLaren as a two-time world champion, but instead of glory, he experienced one of the most bitter moments of his career. McLaren paired him with a sensational rookie, Lewis Hamilton, a newcomer from GP2 who immediately shook the world of Formula One. From there, one of the most explosive rivalries in the history of the sport was born. That season was filled with drama, political tension, and ego clashes. In the end, both Alonso and Hamilton failed to take the crown, losing by just a single point to Ferrari's Kimi Räikkönen. But 18 years later, Alonso still remembers that year with bitterness. In an interview with Spanish media AS, Alonso admitted that from the very beginning, he felt the McLaren car of 2007 was not built for him. He even went as far as calling it an anti-Fernando car. Alonso said, "Without going into too much detail, right after my second world championship ended, I had an anti-Fernando car in 2007. The tires were Bridgestone, the same ones used in GP2 at that time, so all the drivers coming up from GP2 suddenly had very good performance." This statement was a direct jab at Lewis Hamilton, who had just stepped up from GP2 and immediately became a contender against Alonso in his rookie year. Alonso further explained that his struggles were not only with the car itself, but also with the tires. In 2005 and 2006, Alonso and Renault thrived with Michelin tires. But starting in 2007, Formula One had only one supplier, Bridgestone. And for Alonso, that became a turning point that cost him dearly. He continued, "Maybe there was a car that didn't suit my driving style, but that's a useless excuse. You have to adapt because cars change and the rules change as well." At that time, there was a lot of talk about preparation laps for Pirelli tires, but even then, there was a very different way to warm them up, and it was something completely unknown. "I suffered from that for a few years, but that's how it was." These words reopened an old wound. Behind the legendary rivalry with Hamilton, Alonso insists there was a technical factor that put him at a disadvantage: the Bridgestone tires. This narrative reinforces one point: 2007 was not only about two giant egos battling in the same garage, but also about how small technical details can rewrite the history of Formula One. Alonso may never openly admit that Hamilton was the better driver, but by calling the McLaren of 2007 an anti-Fernando car, he reminds the world, his downfall that year was not only about Hamilton's brilliance, but also about the circumstances stacked against him.